Well, good evening, everybody. Wow, 42 people here already. Good show. How y'all doing? And here I am. Spank was keeping me company until you all showed up. You all remember my monkey, Spanky. Anyway, he gets lonely when I leave him sitting in virtual digital land. So I thought I'd let him out for a few minutes, but time to go back to bed, Spank. And just that fast, he disappears. So we got a saying here in Florida: if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. We have 80 degrees one day, 50 something degrees the next day. A couple days later, it's back to 80 degrees. One night, 65. Next night, 42. And it spawned a lot of comments from you. It's a good thing that I'm not easily insulted, because I got one comment today. I did that last video. I was wearing the sweatpants instead of my usual shorts. And one of my kind viewers reminded me that he missed my bony knees. Of course, I took that in the lighthearted manner that he said it. So I got a kick out of that. But I didn't know you all liked my bony knees. Well, it is what it is. Well, look at this. We have a new channel member, MK. Good for you. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you, and thank you for that. What's new? What's new? Well, let me get my disclaimer out of the way here real quick. You all know what it is. You know I'm not a doctor. You know that I don't give medical advice. You know, anything I say is basically just commenting on my own experiences of being on a carnivore diet, of eating only meat and no vegetables. And just because I do it, I'm not telling you to do it, but that's what I gotta say. So I said it, and we're done. We're done with that. I posted that my top 10 YouTube channels video, and that spawned hundreds of comments. I love the comments. They keep me entertained all day long, with the very rare exception anymore of idiots and stupid people. But I'm beginning to think that I'm surrounding myself with a very sophisticated and intelligent audience, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that. That's very nice of y'all. But I knew I was going to get hit with all of these. You forgot this one. You left out that one. I like this one better than the one you picked. I think if I asked any of you to make a list of your 10 favorite YouTube channels, they would all be slightly different. You know, Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, Sean Baker, probably be on all of them. There are hundreds of really great people out there. I put together that list, basically the first ones that came to me, because I figured if these are the first ones that come to me, obviously these are the ones that have made the biggest impression on me. We all took a different path, a different journey to get here. We've all watched different influencers. We all have different things we enjoy watching. Some of us like watching the underdog videos, the struggling people that we can maybe identify with. Some of us are more scientifically bent, and we like watching the lectures on cellular biology and listening to Bart Kay go on. That's the kind of person I am. But I think I gave you a pretty good cross section of the different categories, and I hope you explore around a little bit, but save a little time for me. Save a little time to watch my videos. Made a video today, a little rant, I talked about that Ozempic Wegovy thing, but more and more people are going on it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And Weight Watchers, have you heard? Weight Watchers is now a prescriber, an authorized prescriber. They've got doctors on their staff. And Weight Watchers' new big thing is, to hell with the points, to hell with all that. We're just going to put everybody on this drug, so they're going to come to Weight Watchers so that they can get the drug. That's very scary. That's very scary. There are people that probably can take that and have no problems. But the thrust of my video today was basically, if you have a choice between changing your diet and the food you eat to one that will accomplish all of the stated goals of these drugs, and that is get your blood sugar down, lose weight, the more pleasant and safer path, in my opinion, is the carnivore diet. The more that I did, in case you didn't notice it, I did put a link in the description of that video today to the manufacturer of Wegovy, Novo Nordisk, to their website page that talks about the warnings, the dangers, and the side effects. And they are and can be so severe. And to me, it's such a risk. They also say when you're on these drugs, you're still supposed to limit your carbs and stop eating processed foods. Well, if you intend to do that and you have to do that anyway, why take the drugs? Why in the world would you need to risk all of those side effects if you're going to change your diet anyway? And the answer to that is, if you think anybody's going to change their diet, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. They take the drugs, they want the drugs so they can continue to eat the crap and drink and do everything. And they think, and you understand why they think this, just based on the way it's advertised, that that drug will solve all their problems. And that's a trend. That's a trend we seem to be getting in. And every day on TV in the morning, I see a new ad for a new drug I don't recognize. It's supposed to do something miraculous to solve all these problems that nobody will admit, nobody in mainstream medicine or the mainstream media will admit that it is the diet that is responsible for the majority of all conditions, suffering, and illness in the human race today. And it's a battle. It's a battle. We are gaining a little foothold, though, and it's encouraging. Well, Josephine C., welcome. Josephine has joined our private members group, and let me take a second to talk about that. What I do is I have a live stream every Thursday night for the private members group, and it's a you can join in and be on the panel type of live stream. There'll be a link in the chat right at the beginning, and you click on that and you just go in, and if you got a webcam and a microphone or a cell phone or something like that, you can join us and we can talk. We can talk directly and visit, and we've got some great people to come in Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we have a good time. We have a great time. So thank you, Josephine. Welcome. Look forward to seeing you in one of our live streams. And I also want to thank R. Coleman for a super sticker, $5. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Always appreciate that. And welcome. So, what else is new here before I start saying hello to people? Another thing I mentioned today was, which was a another a funny thought just hit me. That if you saw that video today that I did, the local news anchor lady is a very beautiful young lady, and she she's wild looking. I got a couple of comments on the wild looking local news anchor that was on that. So there was another little news blast that perked me up right off the bat, and then I went, you go, hey, yeah, oh, one of those kind of immediate changes of emotion. And the news article said, the headline of it was, beef prices should be coming down in the future. And I said, whoa, okay, I like that. And then they immediately followed it up with, because there's a surplus of soybean meal, which is what they feed to the cows. And then I go, grain. And I said, well, you just burst that bubble. But the meat we're buying in the supermarkets is grain finished anyway. So if they can get the prices down a little bit, that's fine. And I did want to, and I've gone into this before, I did want to basically comment that just because a cow eats grain doesn't mean you're eating grain when you eat the cow. About the worst effect that the grain has on the cow is it ups the ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s, I believe. But it's still incredibly healthy to eat, because once the grain is digested by the cow, it doesn't resemble grain anymore. No more than if it's a grass-fed cow, are you eating grass when you eat the cow? The cow turns all of this stuff through its multi-chambered stomach and its intestines and its bacteria. It turns all of that stuff into fatty acids, which just make your ribeyes much juicier. And that's why grain-fed cattle is generally has a little more fat. It's a little juicier and probably has a slightly different taste, but I like it better than grass-finished. Now, I'm not a farmer and I don't know this firsthand, but I've heard everybody from Ken Berry to some of these ranchers basically point out that all cows eat grass until the final month or two of their life. And that's why they call it grass-fed, grain-finished. It's the finishing where the difference is. So your cows are eating grass. That they need to eat grass to live. If they started eating grains at a very young age, they would, unfortunately, probably die of diabetes before we ever got around to eat them. Because animals, when they eat a high sugar diet, which is what grains are, they get the same diseases as humans. And that's a problem these days with people feeding their pets all this kibble and crap that's made out of the same stuff that our junk food's made out of. Seed oils, grains, sugars. Cuts the lifespan of these animals in half in a lot of cases. So, if your dogs are carnivores, your cats are carnivores, feed them meat. Your cows are vegans. They're the ones that are, their job is to take the vegan food and turn it into human food so that we can prosper on it. Enough about cows. So meat prices are coming down. All right, I've got a couple more. I think I'll save them. I'll save them for later. Let me run back to the beginning of the chat. Say a quick hello to everybody. It got here early. We have my friend from the old drone days, Jody. Hiya, Jody. How you doing? And Randy K. My good buddy Randy. How you doing, Randy? Good to see you. And Tony Brown is here. Hiya, Tony. Naruto Kun says hello to me. And Charlene Davis says hi. Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. And I have gotten a couple of the guy named Robert in Copper Hill, Tennessee, did make a comment on a video the other day. And his comment was, Richard, Copper Hill's Tennessee's favorite YouTube channel. So I got two of you. Must be a small town. And Mr. K from Minnesota, how you doing? And thanks for joining. We have Michael Prager. Good evening, Mitch, and everyone else. Hope you all had a great day. We did. And that's and Coco's here. Hi, Coco. How you doing? Says greetings, old. Charlene Davis is in Nebraska. Good for you. And Florida's here. I imagine that he's in Florida. Michael Prager loves my music. Kathy B. Hey, Mitch, can you explain the pros and cons of eating cheese since it's an animal product, but not highly recommended? Well, yeah, I can try to make short work of that for you. You know that dairy in nature is intended for babies. It's not intended for adults. You don't see adult animals in nature drinking milk once they get past a certain young age. I think I'm not up on nursing and motherhood, but I think 5 or 6 years old is the age for humans where they probably should stop drinking milk. There are things in milk that you just don't find in all the other animal products in dairy. You have certain proteins, whey protein, casein. You have lactose, which is sugar. These are things that young mammals need to fully develop, grow, and form that adults really don't need. For the longest time in human history, the history of our species, every human on the planet was lactose intolerant because after a certain age, they built up this intolerance to it, made them sick. And what happened was because of, changing geological conditions, changing environments for the different tribes that were wandering all over the planet. Some of them were heading out of Africa heading east into Asia, down into Australia. Some of them were heading north and west into Europe. And they encountered a lot of different environments along the way. And some of these places they went, they had little choice in what food was available, especially in harsher weather in the wintertime. And they started to turn to dairy. And because it does have nourishment. But they had to adapt to it. And in nature, we have a process, you probably heard the name, it's called hormesis. And hormesis basically means whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Small doses of a poison allow the animal to develop a tolerance for it. Like eucalyptus, for example. The only animal on the planet that eats eucalyptus, I think, is a koala bear. At one point in the evolution of the koala bear, it's possible that it was either eat the eucalyptus, get sick and get used to it, and after a few generations you could live on it, or die. So most of these foods that we really shouldn't eat, but we can, generally have a root in the past that some of our ancestors had to develop a tolerance for it and adapt to it. And dairy products are kind of like that for adults. And then what happened was, we started to get boats, and we started to travel, and we started to have airplanes, and we started to intermix, and we started to mix genetic pools from wildly different backgrounds. And the genetic makeup of the world right now is very homogenized. And that's why there's so many different people that have so many different sensitivities and allergies, because somewhere in their past, wherever that particular ancestor had come from, they might have developed a tolerance or not. And some people today probably never had an ancestor that developed a tolerance for lactose, and those people today are lactose intolerant. The dairy is okay on the carnivore diet as long as it's high fat, low sugar dairy, which means milk is out, but high fat cheeses, butter, and those things that are mostly fat are okay. And even then, there's probably a few people that might be sensitive to the proteins that are in them, just like some people are sensitive to the proteins that are in a lot of grains, in the lectins. That's a highly individual thing. So that's a long answer to a short question, but if you want to eat dairy and you have no adverse reactions to it, high-fat dairy is okay in moderation, because it's still a lot of fat, and cheese can be addictive. Cheese can be addictive. There's a morphine-like substance in some of these, casomorphines they call them, in these cheeses, that you can get addicted to that stuff, and you can sit down and start eating cheese. The next thing you know, you've eaten 4,000 calories worth of cheese, and I don't care whether it's got sugar in it or not. That's a lot of energy to be eating, and your body is programmed not to waste any energy. So yes, it could stall your weight loss completely, eating too much cheese. I used to eat cheese, but I stopped. I stopped not because of any particular reason. I stopped because I didn't want it anymore, which is the strangest thing. This diet has changed my whole mental outlook on food. I have no need for variety anymore. In fact, when I do get an inkling of wanting something a little different and I eat it, I don't get the satisfaction that I used to get out of it. It's just food now. It's just, filling up the tank. I try to make it taste good. And if I'm hungry, things taste great. Last night, for the first time in a long time, I made myself a hamburger patty about this big around. I got halfway through it. I just didn't want any more. It stopped tasting good. I put it in the refrigerator. I'll eat it later. And that's what everybody talks about when Ken Berry says, eat until you're comfortably stuffed. Well, that happens to you, but it takes a while. I've been pure carnivore for 1.5 years. Doesn't sound like a real long time, but when you say to yourself, 1.5 years without one green thing put in my mouth, not a vegetable, not a leaf of lettuce, not a gram of intentional carbohydrate. It almost sounds like it would be impossible, but it's not. After about 6 months, it almost got to the point where it didn't even require any thought to think about what I was going to eat or what I do. I could actually live on bacon, eggs, and beef and nothing else. But because of the nutritional aspect of things like fish and sardines and some of that stuff, once a week or so I'll eat those, or make some chicken wings or something, just to have something a little different. But I could live without it easily. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I probably would live without it. These things just make great excuses to have make videos about cooking, and it's almost kind of like a hobby. Okay, hope that answers your question. Aldo is here, and Kathy B, did I say hi to you? Very cold and rainy here in Tennessee. Tennessee's been getting hit with some god-awful weather from what I see. Mama Cracker's here. Good evening to you. Kara, I mention every one. And David is his name. Navy, I have to lean forward. I'm not wearing my reading glasses. 8004. Yeah, David. I think it's David. I try to remember these names. It takes me a couple times. A new member of the group, and I hope to see you Thursday night in the private community. Oh, you like my list? Good. Great minds think alike, my friend. And Michael Prager, how you doing? I believe you were pretty much spot on. Thank you. Thank you. I like that. Keep those compliments coming. Zebinot Smith, how are you? You look thin and great. Better lay off the Ozempic. Yeah. Oh, man. You don't. That's just it, you know. And it's not that these people are self-destructive. They just don't understand what's happening to them. They don't understand addiction. We still, as much as I talk about addiction, I still don't hear enough people talking about addiction. Addiction is the problem. There's no other cause of this. If it wasn't for addiction, nobody would care if they couldn't eat donuts ever again or pizza ever again. Nobody would care. They would say, I'd just eat something else. If it wasn't for addiction. And another thing people don't understand about addiction, about food addiction, and that word food addiction is the wrong word to use. It's the wrong word to use. There are other foods that we are not addicted to. None of us are addicted to hamburger. Eating ground beef does not generate the first tiny bit of neurotransmitter release. There is no effect on our pleasure centers from eating a ribeye. Yes, it tastes good, but we don't get that high from it. Nor do we get that high if we were to eat broccoli or Brussels sprouts or any low-carb vegetable. The only thing that affects the neurotransmitters, the only kind of food, is a carbohydrate. And that is the only food that we can get addicted to. So it's not a food addiction. It's a carb addiction. And I find myself interchanging those two terms, and I wish I hadn't after I think about it for a minute, because it's not the same thing. It's the carbohydrates that we're addicted to. It's the sugar. And there's a reason, and I've told this story many times. And one thing I've realized about being on YouTube here is that I could tell the same story once a week and have a new audience for it every week. And I've learned not to assume that just because I said something 2 months ago, that everybody in this live stream out here has heard me say that. So I keep repeating myself. And if you've heard it before, it's a good reminder. If you haven't heard it before, I'm saying it for you. I'm sure that there are quite a few, at least I hope so, new people in this live stream tonight that just discovered my channel. I got 3,000 new subscribers last month. So a lot of new people are finding out about this stuff. And I have a different message than most of the other people on YouTube. And my message just comes from my own discovery. And my message about addiction, when I look at it, is anybody that you talk to about going carnivore that says, well, that's okay for you, but I'm just not ready to give up. And they start listing the foods there because those foods are just too big a part of my life. They're just what they're really saying. And they don't even know that they're really saying this, because it's not really them saying it. It's that part of their subconscious feeding them rationalities as to why they should keep the sugar flowing. Because that part of the subconscious that has gotten programmed over all the years of our development knows that sugar is emergency and survival energy. And because it's the go-to to stay alive during certain shortages and famines, its importance had to be that the animal was motivated to get sugar. There wasn't a lot of sugar, so it wasn't something you could just go to the corner 7-Eleven and get. But when when you did come across in season a bush full of berries, eat it, because we'll turn it to fat and store it away for those times when there is no meat to be had for a few months, especially if the weather's bad or some natural disaster occurs. And it became a mechanism that was responsible for the survival of not only our species, but of all the species that came before us. The sugar, which is why we developed dual pathways for metabolizing two different kinds of energy, which is why we became hybrids. We can metabolize sugar through one pathway, and we can metabolize fat through another pathway. And all of this metabolizing goes on at a cellular level inside each and every one of the trillions of cells that we have. This whole body that we have, this whole conglomeration of cells, this whole nervous system, this whole bloodstream, the heart that pumps the blood, the infrastructure of this colossal machine that we have, all exists for one purpose, and that is get the energy to each cell or it'll die. So we have individual cells, and nobody looks at a human being like this, and I don't know why. I don't read about this, I don't hear it anywhere, but I look at a human body and I see a cooperative, a city with a lot of little factories, those are the cells, and a lot of highways and vehicles and transports and pumps and machines to do one end job. And that one end job is to get oxygen and either fat or sugar and water to each little individual factory, which is our individual cells, and all of the chemistry of life itself, the metabolism, is at a cellular level. And when you look at the body like that and you realize what the job is of the bloodstream and what the job is of the lungs and what the job is of food that we eat, it all exists to support the individual cells. And in those cells, we did develop a sugar metabolizing pathway because it kept the animal alive when the fat couldn't be had. Protein isn't really a fuel. It can be used as fuel because the body can convert it to sugar. But it's not, its main purpose when you eat protein is to supply all the building materials, the amino acids, to build the proteins that make the machinery of life run. But the two basic fuels we have are sugar. So way back when, hundreds of millions of years ago, before the dinosaurs, these mechanisms had developed. I mean, 100 million years ago, animals had pretty much all of the same physiology or similar that we have. Different versions of it, but they had bloodstreams, they had hearts, they had eyes, 2 eyes to be exact. They had noses, 1 nose. You ever notice how much you have in common physiologically with, say, a mouse? You have a face with a head and 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. You have 2 ears, all in the same relative position. You have a body. You have four extremities, whether they be hands, feet, paws. They have hands, they have digits on them. Some have 3, 4, 5. Dinosaurs had them. Our basic design goes back, way back. And all the commonality had to start with the first one animal that had a mutation that developed it or adapted to it. So the machinery that we have is ancient machinery, and the fuels that it runs on and the way it operates is ancient. And we finally got smart enough to think we can outsmart this ancient machinery, and we can't, which is why the best we can do is try to return to at least eating the fuel that this machinery developed and adapted to. And anybody that doesn't understand that basic principle isn't just, not that they're dumb, brilliant people, geniuses, rocket scientists do not understand this because they've never thought about this. They're busy thinking about something else. It's so miraculous and so marvelous, and it makes so much sense. And it's the reason why, after all the years that I struggled on low-carb diets and yet always succumbed to the addictions, when I started to hear about eating just meat, which I was eating like 90% meat anyway, I was, low carb, but my addictions would always take hold. I'd find myself acting like the Walking Dead, heading to the drugstore at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ice cream. That wasn't me, my conscious mind controlling. That was my subconscious saying, I'm programmed to want sugar and you're not giving me any. So we're going to the drugstore and get some ice cream. And let me tell you why. And then it would tell me why. This diet you're on, Mitch, it would say to me. That's good. You're doing great. We're going to take a little break from that diet because you deserve a little treat. You need a reward. You need to feel good. And as soon as that ice cream hits your mouth, I'm going to release some of this dopamine and you're going to feel good. So you know how good that feels, don't you, Mitch? You remember that feeling of pleasure as you're eating something that just is so soul satisfying, which you're not eating now. I need that. So just this one time, it's going to be okay. You have my permission as long as you promise that you're going to start back on our diet again on Monday. And you think, well, in your conscious mind, as you're driving to the drugstore, wondered, why the hell am I in my car at 3 o'clock in the morning going to the drugstore? These thoughts start going through your head. And you tell yourself, just this one last time. I promise I'll start again on Monday. And that was the story of my life for 50 years. 50 years of starting again on Monday. Well, pretty soon, if you think about it, you have to wake up and say, wait a minute. I'm not that weak. I'm not that weak a person. I'm a strong person. How the hell am I getting away with it? And I figured out that we have no control over that kind of thing. What we have to do is we have to attack it like what they call a hack. We have to learn about the hormones, especially the hormones of satiety and hunger. We have to learn what it is that triggers these different hormones, because we have to convince that subconscious mind of ours that's in a sugar panic all the time that it's okay. It's okay. You're not going to starve to death. I know you don't realize it, but we have stores now. I know that you were programmed back in the dark ages where they didn't have stores. I know that you always worried about whether the hunters were going to come back with a hunk of meat, but we have stores now where you can buy this stuff. I have plenty of food. There's plenty of meat. There's plenty of good food. You don't have to worry about that emergency rations, that sugar anymore. And millions of years of programming fighting that has to learn not to be afraid anymore. And the way that it learns that is by a steady supply over not a day or a week, but of a year, 2, 5, of no panic, no panic. And we're like that. I mean, our machinery works like that. It's part of our defense mechanisms. An example. God, I love these tangents. I hope you like these tangents I get off on, because I get off in my own world, and one thought leads to the next. I'll get back to all of you in a second in the comments. But one example. Have you ever gotten a ticket, a speeding ticket or reckless driving ticket? Most of us drive with great abandon. We don't obey most of the speed limits. You know, we go 10, 15 over. We know that most police will let you have 10. They write on 11. I once had a policeman tell me they give you 10, they write 11. But, you know, sometimes, especially in a 30 mile an hour, 35 mile an hour zone, you know, you're listening to the radio, you look down, you're going 50 miles an hour. Well, you don't think much of it. Till one day a cop pulls you over. Do you know how fast you were going, sir? Well, no. you were going, 25 miles over the speed limit. Here's a $300 ticket and 3 points in your license. The next week, 2 weeks, a month, you're driving the speed limit. Tell me if this doesn't happen to you. You're driving the speed limit. You know there's a cop waiting at every corner. You are paranoid as hell. You weren't paranoid the day you got the ticket. But eventually, after a month or 2 or 3 or 4 months goes by and no cops and no tickets, you're back to your old self again. You're not as paranoid. You get used to the fact that the danger is not there anymore. And that's how we have to trick our brains when it comes to sugar addictions. And it seems through all this experimentation that going back to the diet that existed before we had all this sugar is the best and maybe the only way to do that if you're a severely addicted person. Now, there are lucky people that aren't sugar addicts, just like there are lucky people that aren't alcoholics, like me. I do not drink. I don't like alcohol. I never did. I used to never understand, why can't an alcoholic just stop drinking? I understand once I equated it with sugar addiction or smoking or anything like that. It's an addiction. And when you have an addiction, your brain is in control. Your subconscious, your animal mind is going to make sure that this machine that you inhabit gets what it needs. And that flimsy little conscious mind of yours that is so arrogant and thinks so much of itself is not going to get in its way. It can be manipulated very easily by rationalization. And that's why I'm saying that the addiction, the food addiction, the thing that we call food addiction is carbohydrate addiction. It's sugar addiction. And those people who say, how can you be addicted to food? You need food to live. The answer to that is yes, you have to have food to live, but you don't need sugar to live. Sugar is emergency, last-ditch rations. When you need them, they're very important, which is why we still think that we need them. When you learn how the hormones work, and you learn how leptin comes out of your fat cells, which is the satiety hormone, when your insulin levels are low, and you learn that the only way to keep your insulin levels low is not to eat sugar, you have a natural cascade of chemical events that takes your hunger and cravings away. And it's like magic. And the longer you get used to living like that, the easier it is and the more they fade away. Unfortunately, it only takes one cheat day and you're almost back to square one every time. And we've all been there. And that's not true just about a sugar addiction. That's also true with alcohol addiction, nicotine addictions, drug addictions, cocaine, heroin. Abstinence is the only way to cure them, because one taste of alcohol to an alcoholic and he's diving into the bottle again. It sounds extreme. We don't think it. That's the amazing thing is the education of the public about what this sugar addiction is. And the reason the sugar addiction is, hands down, the most powerful, strongest, ancient addiction that animals have ever had. Because our sugar addiction has roots back in the survival of our ancestors tens or hundreds of millions of years ago, where alcohol addiction, drug addiction, nicotine addiction has its roots back hundreds, maybe hundreds of years at best. So not only is our addiction a real addiction, it's the granddaddy. It is the inventor of the concept of addiction. The fact that these animals that we are have been addicted to sugar for as long as we've been human and longer. And that's that's 2 to 3 million years. The genus Homo goes back. Nobody thinks about addiction like that. We know what it is. We say we need to address it, but we don't talk about why we become addicts. The fact that it was a necessary survival tool through most of our coming up, and why it is so impossible, and why that person you tell about the carnivore diet comes up with the lamest sounding excuses about why they don't want to do it. And the reason they don't want to do it is their subconscious has an ancient fear of starving if food gets in short supply. And believe me, that's a very strong motivator. There's the addiction talk. I hope you took something away from that. I hope you don't think I'm out of my mind thinking these things. I can think of no other reason, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And if you know me at all, you know that I need things to make sense. There's got to be logic involved. There has to be an answer as to why and where it came from. Otherwise, we're just guessing. We're just guessing. I think that it's too late for me to start saying hello to people at 10 minutes to 9. Excuse me one second. I have to start taking a look at the chat. Oh, I did have one other thing I wanted to show you, and then I'll address the chat. This was cool. Cliff Medina, one of our members. Cliff has been fooling a lot with this artificial intelligence, okay? And he went on to Microsoft's AI, which is built into their Bing search engine. And not too many people use Bing. There's another search engine called DuckDuckGo, which are not Google. They're less likely to have as much bias in them as Google does. And this made my day when I saw this. He sent me an email. And I'm going to read it to you because he was playing around with the Bing search engine. And he said, I hope you can read that. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Here's a copy of his email to me. And he said, I just asked AI if a vegan diet is healthy. This is what artificial intelligence told me. Now smarter than a human, exclamation point. And this was the prompt he got from the AI. Hello, this is Bing. I can help you find some information on the topic of veganism and health. Okay, he asked it about veganism and health. And this is actually AI talking to him. I can only think that maybe one of the programmers of the Bing database had to be a carnivore or something. Okay, anyway, according to some sources, a vegan diet, which excludes all animal products, such as meat, dairy, and eggs, may lead to nutritional deficiencies and health problems if not planned carefully. Some of the nutrients that vegans may lack include vitamin B12, omega-3, calcium, zinc, iron, magnesium, and high-quality protein. These deficiencies may increase the risk of certain types of cancer, stroke, bone fractures, preformed birth, and failure to thrive. Vegans may also experience hair loss, weak bones, muscle wasting, skin rashes, hypothyroidism, anemia, and mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. So there, my friends, there's what you tell the vegans to go research when they tell you the carnivore diet is killing you and you need to eat plants to get all the nutrition that you need. And we know, we know. That's the problem. Just because we know it doesn't mean everybody's going to believe it. But, most of us that are in this community have been at this a long time, and we have seen and heard it all by now. After years of not just YouTube videos, but lectures and research and everything else, we know that this is absolutely true. The chemicals, the nutrients, the compounds that we need to rebuild and maintain this machinery that we are does not come from plants. Plants are different. It's a different form of life. The animal kingdom and the plant kingdom split a long time ago, and plants went on to refine and fine-tune their survival skills. A lot of the things that plants have are similar to what humans have. Plants have hormones. Plants have sex hormones. Soy has phytoestrogen. They call them phytonutrients, the proteins, but they're different, which is why the human body has problems with them. Some of them are close enough that we actually end up substituting plant molecules with animal molecules. Some of us humans that are almost like the Walking Dead now are turning themselves into plants. Some of them, 20% of their cell walls are made of the plant sterols, which is the plant's version of cholesterol, which is what we use to build cell walls. That's why carnivores don't sunburn so easily. Vegans will burn to a crisp in the sun. The plant sterols are different because the plant's outer cells have to let all the sunlight in because that's where the plant gets its energy, in photosynthesis. We are not plants. Yes, we can get some nutrients from plants if they absorb it from the same soil, or if that plant ends up eaten by a cow, and if we eat the meat, we get it that way. So substituting some plants for meat is basically another way of getting what the plant ate and then the animal ate by a different route. But what plants are made of is not exactly the same as what humans. So to try to have a vegan diet, especially a raw vegan diet, where you do absolutely nothing to limit the thousands of plant toxins, defense chemicals, lectins, anti-nutrients, and all the things that plants have developed as a defense to make the animals that eat them sick, I mean, would a vegan eat poison ivy, do you think? Why not? It's a plant. It's crazy. This is a great article. I'm going to put this somewhere on my website in the next couple of days. So if you think you want to find it again, or I may even make a video about it and put this information in the description of the video. It is really, really interesting to see a search engine part of technology, which is always anti-meat, anti-everything, to see Bing, which is Microsoft, which is, or was, Bill Gates, for God's sakes. Bill Gates is turning into one of those James Bond type villains. He wants us all to eat bugs. I thought that was great. So thank you for sending me that. Holy crap, he says, is right. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. So I hope you found that interesting. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat and start working my way backwards to see if we can get current and talk to some of the people that may be here now that were here earlier and left. Pat Ramirez, let me do it this way so I can put them up on the screen and get back to, oh God, so much. I love it that you guys chat like that. Infinite Warfare says, I only lasted 1 month on carnivore. I get, you have no idea how many comments I get. What percentage of the comments? I've been carnivore for 6 days. I've been carnivore for 12 days. I've been carnivore for 3 days. I've been carnivore for 9. I made a couple of videos about what to do during the first 30 days of carnivore. And from the comments I get, and from the people that I know that have started carnivore, I know that most, I would say, I mean, this is a scary number, 95%. I think is a conservative number. 95% don't make it 30 days. Tell me if you think I'm really off base with that number. Seriously, I want to know. I know that we have a bedrock. I have a bedrock of viewers. Like MK says 4 years carnivore. Yeah. I have at this point subscribed to my channel 20,300 people. I think it's, I can tell you exactly here. I have 21,239 subscribers. I would be willing to bet no fewer than 15,000 of them are gone. Tried it and failed. I know from just the people that I've tried to put on carnivore that it's just that, it's not easy. You have to want it. And the number of people who are long-term carnivores compared to the number of people who are watching these videos, who are starting out on a carnivore diet, or any diet for that matter, don't make it. And I fight and try to help people get over that first 30 days. I've got a set of rules that are just different than a lot of other people. And I watch all the other guys, and they're all great, and they all want to do so well for everybody. And they say, well, try 90 days of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. As if it's easy. It's not. You have to be motivated. You have to have the right conditions. You have to have a lifestyle conducive because changing what you eat is one thing. But if changing what you eat means you have to change everything about your life, who you live with, who your doctors are, you're going to get so much resistance. You're going to get so much heat from your own addiction that you give up. And a lot of people give up. And that's sad, and it's a shame. And I work very hard to try to help people get past that 30 days. I've been doing this, my channel, as a carnivore channel for 6 months. Before that, I had a drone channel about flying drones and model airplanes and things. But in the 6 months I've been doing this, I keep working on a video or thinking about a video and making notes about a video that's going to be entitled, "Okay, you've survived 30 days, now what?" I haven't made that video yet, and nobody's asked me. Not one comment. Not one comment. In the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of comments that I get on all the videos, and I have 155 videos on carnivore out there already, not one comment has ever asked me that question or said that or stated, "Okay, Mitch, I've survived 30 days, now what?" Because in my first 30 days, the rules are not the rules to sustain a carnivore diet. They're not even close. I say put away the scale. Don't let yourself get hungry. Eat. Your job is to eat. Well, that's not how you want to live the rest of your life. You can't. Your job isn't going to be stuff. And once you get to 30 days, you have to transition into a sustainable lifestyle. And that includes getting along and coexisting with the other people in your life and their diets. It means how to continue and have a social life when all of our social life out there revolves around food. Everything. Food and drink. Going out drinking. Going out partying. Going to sports events. Taking the cooler. Taking the chips and the dip and the hot dogs and the grill and the buns. And so it's not just about saying to somebody, well, eat beef, butter, and egg, bacon, and eggs for 90 days. Those people, you never hear from them again. There are so many people I used to hear from in the comments that were struggling. I never hear from them again. This is where I think people need the help. I may be wrong. Maybe I'm overestimating it, but I'm just not seeing. I'm seeing a few people who say, I've been on carnivore, I've made it 6 months. Here's one, John P. He says, I found the first 30 days easy. Let me see if I can find John's. Here it is. John says, I found the first 30 days easy other than the bathroom trips. Well, you're now at day 126 and 127. Yeah, John, your congratulations, man. You're in the minority. You and me, and maybe everybody watching this stream, because the people that tend to continue to come to these live streams are not just coming here to learn about carnivore. If you've made it 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, a year, 10 years, 5 years, if you've made it that far, you are a carnivore. It requires no thought on your part. This is your life. This is how you live. This is what you eat. That other stuff is not even food. It's not considered food. You eat to nourish. You fix things. You put your diabetes into remission. You're like me. All my arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, went away. No pains right now. I've lost all the weight that I care to lose. I've been holding at 138 to 140 pounds now for like 9 months, 10 months. I go, up and down a half a pound. Maybe I'll have a little more water in me one day. I eat like a horse. It's crazy. I made that video today. I had 5 strips of that 1/4-inch thick Wright's bacon and 6 eggs for lunch. And for dinner, I ate 1.5 pounds ribeye. every ounce of it. And you'd think, God, you're going to become big as a house. You keep eating that much food. That was 2.5 pounds of food. I don't gain an ounce. I do put on muscle though. And I swear, honest to God, let me get up close here. I swear I look younger when I look in the mirror. Maybe I'm deluding myself. My skin is so much better. And I'm going to be 77 years old. I got 2 guys residing my house right now that look older than me. And I asked one of them, we got talking, and I said, how old are you? And he said, I'm 54. I dropped my jaw. That's how old my son is. My son is 53. And I look younger than he does. And I look back at the videos that I made a few years ago on my drone channel, and I swear I look 10 years older than I do now. This is the right thing to do. So, oh, I see we got info. Do we have somebody in the chat that's giving everybody a hard time? But I hope not. I hate to see that. At any rate, guys, that is maybe I'm fooling myself. I don't know. I don't think so though. I know how I feel, and I live in a retirement community, and oh yeah, Florida says take a pull on how does Mitch look now? Yeah, I mean, I'm no spring chicken. And oh, Cold War Sailor says he likes. Yeah, let me tell you. Let me plug that here real quick. I gotta plug it. At any rate, John P. Yeah, thanks, John. We come here to these live streams because this is the place. This is the one place in the world where we get a chance to associate and socialize with people that don't think we're lunatics. It's the one place that I can go where people think that what I'm doing is the right thing and it's what should be normal, because everybody out there in the world thinks there's something seriously wrong with me. And you know, at my age, I'm now right at the average age, because that's been going down every year. Right now, the average age of a white American man is 76 years old. And that means to me that I was born in 1947. Half of the boys that were born the same year I was are dead. Think about that. Half. 50% of the males that were born in 1947 in America are not alive anymore. That's scary. And every year after this that I stay alive, that percentage is going to keep going up. And all my friends, and I had some Furman followers, if you know who Furman is. He's the low-fat vegan guy, you know. I had two friends of mine that were absolutely strict vegans, and I was always been a meat eater, low carb. And I used to get lectures from them all the time. How healthy they are, how short my life's going to be eating all that meat. One of my friends one of them died 11 years ago. The other one 5 or 6 years ago. and I'm still here. I didn't want to be right that way, but I've just seen too much to think that I'm wrong, and that's one of the reasons why I put so much time in and I'm so passionate about this. I can't do much to change the world. I can't, but I'm so convinced that this is what we need to do. And I've seen so many relatives and dear friends die agonizing and horrible deaths in nursing homes, having feet amputated because of diabetes, losing their minds to dementia and Alzheimer's. I don't want to go out that way. I want to live to be like 115 and then get hit by a bus or something like that. But if I can't have my faculties and have clear thinking, I just don't want to do it. But I don't want to die. I want to live. But I want to live optimally. And I'm so thrilled that this worked for me. And I managed to sustain it for a year and a half effortlessly. I have no temptations. I have no deprivations. It's amazing. I look forward to the food that I eat, and it really does work. But it is not automatic, and it's not sustainable unless you're motivated, and you learn the psychology of it. And I'd like to see 90% of people succeed, but I don't think it, like every other diet, especially from companies like Weight Watchers. You know, these, if it wasn't for recidivism, they'd be out of business. You join Weight Watchers, they got a customer for life. That's why they love the fact that they're now prescribing these GLP-1 agonists, the Wegovy and those Ozempics. Because once you get on those things, you're pretty much on them for life. And that's a business model that really works well in medicine. It doesn't work in medicine for them to cure you and say goodbye. They're much better off and more profitable when they can treat you for life. And that's why the drug companies are concentrating on drugs that you have to take for life, like statins and like these new drugs and all these other new drugs they're coming out with. And that's pretty evil as far as I'm concerned. Mike the Vegan, or Mick the Vegan, doesn't look healthy, says Andrew H. Hey, Andrew H., how you doing? I didn't say hi to you. BP1 Mac is here. Good to see you, Ann Balecki. I know, I'm beginning to recognize all these names. That's great. Pat Ramirez, how you doing? Lion Diet makes me feel the best. Well, the Lion Diet is got to be one of the most nutrient-dense diets that you can have. Infinite Warfare. Oh, Infinite Warfare is he doesn't have any acne or skin conditions. It's rare to see someone healthy. I don't know. You guys are all fighting and arguing with each other. Let's see here. Yeah, David's driving, hauling propane tanks. Carnivore is a lot more unethical than sad, unless you physically get your food and help natural selection. Infinite Warrior. I don't recognize him. This is a carnivore channel, my friend. If you're still there, I don't know who you are, and I think, believe me, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, and everybody is entitled to eat whatever they want to eat. Okay? And I don't particularly care what you eat, and that goes true for any of you. It's not my place. It's not my place to tell any of you what to do. And whatever you do, if it doesn't affect me, but this is my channel and my work and my labor. And I'm doing this for people who basically say, well, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he's had a lot of experience. He's not a kid. And he looks pretty good for an old fart. Let's hear what he's got to say. And when I do a live stream like this, I've opened my house to everybody. I've invited you in to my house because I assume that you're interested. Uh-oh, I seem to have frozen up here. Have I frozen up, guys? Somebody in the chat, tell me if I've frozen up my video. Chat, anybody? Yes, I froze up. Okay, hang on a second. You can still hear me? Okay, good. You can still hear me, right? There we go. Okay. Am I back? I'm moving. That was scary. Okay, all right. It should be back now. Hey, yes, sir. Let me take a quick look at the stream and see what's going on. Yes, I'm here. Hey, this calls for a celebration. Some fabulously sophisticated, bubbly water from Italy, San Pellegrino, basically seltzer water. That took a boat ride. I do not know why that froze up, but we have the technology to fix it. All right, where was I? I was telling you, and this goes for everybody. I've opened my house to you guys, and I'm here to help and tell you some of the things I've figured out, which may or may not be true. I think they're true. That's how, but you're all intelligent people. Infinite Warfare hacked you. I don't understand that. Mitch, why is there someone in here with no name at all? I don't see that, even if I. At any rate, I don't want to ban anybody or block anybody. I just don't want to do that. I just want people that are decent people and have some respect. This is a carnivore channel, and this is my opinion. If you have a differing opinion, start a channel. Find people that are interested in hearing what you have to say. Don't come into my house and create a ruckus. That's all. That's not asking too much. If you want to be a vegan, be a vegan. More power to you. Why is that so hard to understand? But the trolls are everywhere. And I doubt, this is the thing. What type of human being are you? Are you the type of human being that will go and sit in the middle of a road with signs that say don't eat animals and block traffic and inconvenience an entire city? Are you so mad at people who don't believe what you do that you'll deface famous artwork, that you'll go into a store and pour their milk all over the floor and cost them money? Are you that kind of person? Because carnivores are not doing that. We are not that kind of people. We are not trying to force what we think is right on anybody. And we respect other people. We might try to tell them where we think they're wrong if they want to argue with us. But between you and me, I'd rather never, ever have a conversation with a vegan ever again for the rest of my life, because I don't want to change their minds. Let everybody come to this in their own way. Okay? So We got 138 people in here. I assume most of them are interested in carnivore. I said last week that I'm thinking about finding a moderator or two to give them one of those blue wrenches where they can keep an eye on the chat, because I really can't as much as I'd like to, and continue to pontificate like I do, bloviate or whatever you want to call it. But this is a place for carnivores to come where they can feel accepted and not have to fight with everybody who wants to tell us that we're crazy and that we should all be vegans and plant chompers when we're healthy and we're curing our illnesses and everything is working just fine, and we're not dropping like flies either. That's for damn sure. Terminus S says, don't think infant is a trouble. No, I'm not. Listen, you guys know that I have a little hamburger menu right next to every one of these comments that comes through the chat line. When I click that hamburger menu, these are the options that I have. I can pin the message to the top of the chat. I can report the user to YouTube. I can remove the message. I can put the user in a timeout. I can hide the user on this channel, which means no comments, no chat messages will ever show up anywhere other than on his own browser. So he can type his little heart out, and he's going to think that he's typing messages out, and he'll begin to wonder why nobody is responding to him. And that's because nobody from now until the history of forever on this channel, until I unhide him, will ever see him again. What those kind of trolls do is they usually come back with it from a different channel. So we'll find them again. And eventually we report them to YouTube, but they'll get around to finding out who they were, and they'll just take them out. This is not my problem. I have very, very little of it. I know Ken Berry gets them. They all get them. You can't help it in YouTube. People, this is their hobby. Just like people who hack into computers. This is their hobby. That's what they do. They get something out of it. That's fine. They just like to disrupt other people. I'm used to it. Pat Ramirez says, eat meat 5 times. All right, guys. Just do me a favor. Behave yourselves. Let me say, behave yourselves! Exclamation point. There you go. BB1 Mac put his own wrench up there. There you go. At any rate, any of you guys want to become a moderator, you let me know. But what I would need from a moderator is somebody that I know, preferably somebody in my private community that I get a chance to know and talk to on Thursday night, that I've actually had in a window on the chat and is going to be in all of my live streams, or most of them, that can basically just keep an eye on the chat. Randy K, thank you. I have a cigar on me and relax. I will do that, Randy. Thank you so much. Let me just show everybody what I'm talking about here if they haven't already seen it. Holy cow, look at all the chat. Randy K, my friend. If you don't know Randy, you should. Randy is, let me show you. Let me show you Randy. Over here on my website. That's Randy right there with a cigar in his mouth and his take the rest of the day off and eat meat t-shirt. And I'm tonight wearing my food pyramid, my carnivore food pyramid t-shirt that are in my merch store and help keep me in cigar money. So if you think you want to have these, I got 3 different styles of these in 5 different colors, and I have them in hoodies and sweatshirts and t-shirts. So thank you, Randy. I really appreciate that. You're the man of the evening here. God, it came up yellow. My whole screen lit up. Oh, well, okay. Where were we on the chat? Andrew H. Rand, yeah. Naruto Kun says, you tell him, Mitch. And Lyman, 1969 says, here, let me put that up here. Says, let me just show you guys. Let me show you guys what I'm looking at here. Just to give you an idea. If you hang on 1 second, I want to show you what I'm looking at on my different monitors. Okay. Now this is my left monitor. The one I've got 3 monitors in front of me. This is the left monitor. Right over here, I've got, and you can see the delay of about 10 seconds. This is actually a window that's running the live stream. Okay, it shows me what you're seeing, and I didn't have that up when it froze, so I would have seen it earlier. But that's it. And then in here, I have a chat window that basically only shows me it's called fan funding. That's because when somebody is kind enough to, send me a super chat or a super sticker or join our community, it shows up there and grabs my attention. So you can see what happened. And that's how I saw that big thing of yellow came up. Right next to it over here in this window, which is over my head on the screen, you can see that's the chat, the same chat that you guys see. And that's how far back it goes, okay? And that's easy for me to read because it's white letters on a black background. And that's when you see me look over this way, you can know that I'm looking at that chat over there. Oh, Andrew H., you did it too. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Andrew H. You guys, man. Your mom loves me. That's great. I'll tell you what. You can't get too much love. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. I've actually beginning to think you guys are almost like friends and not just viewers, and that's what makes this really great for me. And I mean this from the heart. It's the sense of community that we have. Really is it. I come away from these live streams, especially a live stream like this tonight, just feeling good. And, I live alone. I have no friends. I have nothing in common with virtually anybody else that lives in this retirement community that I live in. Their entire lives revolve around food and drink. I mean, they're all sick. They're all huge. And all they do is have events. They have events all the time, and it's all about food and drink. I can't even go to them. I just can't do that anymore. So at any rate, that's what I have on my left monitor over here. Then on my center monitor, I have this. And this window on the left here is my broadcasting software, where I can change all the scenes and do all that fancy stuff and make my monkey show up and change it to my, I can change to the, if I go over here and say full front, you'll see this scene. If I say split the center monitor, it'll show me the monitor with me down in the corner. If I want to go away and say, I'll be right back, I can show you this. So I can do like they do on the news and the broadcast studios and change all the different scenes that I have. And that's happening in this window. In this window here, this is the streaming software that's communicating with YouTube and sending this stream out. And what I see in this window here is what you're seeing, okay? And if I had guests, they'd be down in this area. If I want to show you the window that has my website on it, I can hit this and it'll change by doing this. Now, behind my head here, you'll see there's also a chat. See it running up and down here? Because in the streaming software, it shows me a version of the chat. And if I want to show something on the screen, I can click it here. Like Andrew H. said, Spanky, I can show that comment down in the bottom of the screen. You can see it over there, or I can get rid of it. But to try to find a chat on this window is very hard for me because they take up so much room. Whereas if I go over to the left window, I can find it much easier looking through this. So that's why you see me going back and forth. Is it an optimal way to do it? No, but it's, trying to do all this by myself, it's very, very, very hard. And you've seen this during my time. That's I have a camera behind me and up above that shows you the whole view of the thing. And I also have push buttons here. See these buttons? And these buttons allow me to actually change the different scenes. So if I want to show you, I have a scene here, it's called 800-pound gorilla. I can show you Spank, the monkey. I have this this button that actually takes you back to my full front view. I have my Be Right Back, pre-show, my classroom. There's all kinds of different scenes I have set up here, and I use this same setup to actually record videos for YouTube as well. So if you see me sitting in something with a whiteboard, and that's all being put together by all this software here. So any of you guys that are thinking about doing a YouTube channel, it can be as simple as doing it on your cell phone, or it can be crazy like me, and I always tend to go for crazy. Oh, and Blaylock. Oh, not Blaylock, it's Bielecki. Wow. I have these other glasses, but they're bigger and they're made for computer work, but they don't look as cool as these do, so I don't wear them here. Thank you. Thank you. Shows your live stream over at Curry's at Homestead House, same time. Really, is Curry doing a live stream? I didn't know. That's tough, because a lot of people, and I thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. But I had no idea that Curry, does he do it every Tuesday night at this time, or did he just do it tonight? There's so many carnivore and keto people doing these live streams. I know that seems like Anthony Chafee does 4 hours of live streams every day. Ken Berry has that huge private community, and he does like four or five live streams a week in that, and his regular one on Monday, and then I see him pop up on Friday sometimes. Live streaming is it's a great fun thing for us YouTubers to do, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy it because of the interaction with you guys. But it would be, to have a little help would be great. If somebody wants to be a moderator, let me know. Let's see. Dang, Mitch, for an old guy, you're pretty techie. Oh man, you have no idea. I'm I owned a computer company for over 20 years. And my company we sold technology to education. And I had 13 counties in Florida, exclusive contracts to do all the schools, the network. This is way back in the 90s when the internet was just coming in, and we would come into a school and we would install all the network infrastructure, do all the wiring, put all the Cat 5 cabling in, deliver all the computers, configure them, set up the whole school network. And that's what I did for, I did that for a living for 20 years. So I love technology. I love technology. I was thinking about signing up with the Steak and Butter Gal for the first month because I've been eating carnivore, but I haven't been losing any pounds. From what she says, I was possibly doing. I don't see the end of that. I'm 67-year-old. Is that the one I was looking at? See why? Oh, that was an earlier comment of yours. Okay. Let's take a look at it. I'm a 67-year-old female. I was told I had stage 3 kidney disease. Would I have a blockage of the arteries going into my kidneys, which I'm hoping will lower my blood pressure? Then I saw another one from you. Here it is. What was this one? I was thinking about signing up with Steak and Butter Gal for the first month because I've been eating carnivore, but I haven't been losing any pounds. From what she says, I was possibly doing. Is there any more? How long? One of the things a lot of people expect is that it's, we all like that instant gratification. I've had people actually comment me. I've been on carnivore for 3 weeks and I haven't seen any of this or any of that or the other thing. Well, you're 70 years old. It took you 70 years to get in the shape you're in, and I don't care what you eat. It's not going to fix it in, 2-3 weeks. All I can tell people is what I experienced. In the first month, most of my cravings went away. I was keto for on and off, but mostly on keto for a long time. So my weight, I didn't have a whole lot of weight to lose when I 20 pounds or so maybe when I went on carnivore. I was eating primarily meat with my blueberries and homemade ice cream binges, but that was about the worst of it. But I just couldn't get past the 150, 155 range no matter what I did, and I couldn't. No matter what I did, if every carb I ate always went towards the stuff I was craving. I was trying to make versions of pizza. I was trying to make chaffles with baked stuff and, with almond flour and all the keto recipes that did nothing but triggered my addictions instead of curing them. And then I just bit the bullet and went carnivore and stayed that way. And now, it's not a religion to me, but I feel like I would be so unfaithful to myself after all this hard work if I were to give up now or do anything. And now that I've got an audience and got a whole bunch of people that are watching me, I wouldn't be just letting myself down. I would be embarrassing myself in front of thousands of people. And I just don't want to do that. It's just working too well, and I feel too good. But I can't tell you. I could. I know Bella, Steak and Butter Gal. Steak and Butter Gal has some good info, worth it for. But yeah, sure, why not? Why not? I think she's been at it a long time, and she knows. But she has not been through what you've been through. She is a young woman, and But yeah, what do you say? Join? What, a couple bucks to be a member of her channel? Sure, why not? I would. Maybe she'll pay some attention to you or help you out. Ann says, it took me 3 months to start losing weight. Let me see. See, I have to, as I said, I see it in one chat, and then I have to go back to the other one where I can click it and make it show up. Took me 3 months to start losing weight, gave up alcohol and carb addictions overnight. That was more important. Yeah, that's a tough part. That's a tough part of, you can be carnivore, but if you're still drinking wine and beer, you're not going to, you're never going to really, you're going to be poisoning yourself at the same time you're trying to get healthy. And that's another thing. Usually when people give up addictions, they do it by replacing it with another addiction. Have you ever noticed that if you ever went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting that the smoke is so thick you can hardly move? That's because people turn to the cigarettes when they're trying to give up the alcohol. If you asked them to try to give up alcohol and cigarettes at the same time, they would slit their wrists. So when you try to give up sugar, the tendency is always to lean heavier on any other addictions you have, because you still want that dopamine hit. You want that little bit of pleasure feeling and high that you get from it. And unfortunately with carnivore, to get the real benefit, you have to stop poisoning your body, especially your liver, and that's what and screwing with your metabolism, and drinking alcohol does all of that. So that's unfortunate. Infinite Warfare is still here. What did he say? I think people mistakenly confuse subcutaneous fat for being unhealthy. Yeah, subcutaneous fat is not unhealthy. You're absolutely right, and I'm glad you're not a troll, my friend. Visceral fat is unhealthy, the fat around your organs. Subcutaneous fat is where the body, it's the body's gas tank. It's like saying the gas tank in your car isn't good for your car. Well, it's necessary for your car. But if your back seat in your car started filling up with gasoline, that would be bad. Subcutaneous fat is the natural place where our bodies. There are some people who have a healthy metabolism. They're not really insulin sensitive. They put on a lot of body fat, but they're not sick. There are overweight people that are not sick. These people live great lives and can be very happy, and they don't get diabetes and they don't get all the heart disease. They just have a lot of subcutaneous fat. We're learning, at least I'm learning from just listening and looking around, that fructose is the real enemy here. It's the real demon. Fructose is not burned in the same or used in the same pathways as glucose. Glucose can go to the liver, can be converted to triglycerides and stored away in subcutaneous fat. Fructose, which seems to be increasing in quantity in what we eat, has to be metabolized and turned into fat by the liver. And it gets stored everywhere. It gets stored in the liver, and that's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which I've heard estimates that, 25, 30 or more percent of the American people, or 50%, have fatty liver in some level, mild, moderate. That's one of the things that shocked me. I had a CAT scan for my kidney stones, and on the report of the CAT scan, it said I had mild fatty liver disease. I said, whoa, what the hell is that? This was years ago. And that scared me. I said, I don't want fatty liver. A good thing is you can knock that out in a few weeks once you stop eating the fructose and the sugar. But eventually that will turn into cirrhosis and can kill you, just like alcohol can cause your liver to become, cause cirrhosis of the liver. Wow, it's 9:45 already. Time flies when you're having fun. I'm sorry, I just can't. Oh, John P. is defending us cigar smokers. Yes, sir, John, I gave up trying to defend it. You know, I tell people, I always tell them exactly what you said. We smoke cigars because it's enjoyable and relaxing, and we don't inhale. I've had doctors, not that I have a lot of respect for doctors, but I've had doctors. They ask me, they always ask in your physical, do you smoke? I say, yeah, I smoke cigars. Do you inhale? No. Okay. And they don't, and then they're done. They don't tell you to quit. Most of them. And what I had a couple of them tell me was that, and John will tell you, and you'd never know this unless, because a lot of people think, oh, what a smelly, filthy habit. Well, there's a reason why men smoke cigars. It's like among the most relaxing things you can do. A good cigar will burn for an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's not like a cigarette. You don't just go grab a smoke with a cigar. You put it on your calendar. And a good cigar is expensive, 10, $15 for a cigar. I mean, it's and people say, well, that's crazy. I say, well, didn't you just pay $15 for that mixed drink you drank down in 3 seconds? I said, here, I'm paying $15. I got 2 hours of sheer relaxation and pleasure, and I'm just sitting here puffing on it. And the aroma's nice, and, well, aren't you worried the secondhand smoke's? No. I said, if I was worried about that shit, I wouldn't go out of my house without a gas mask, especially drive on the highways. Doctor told me the relaxation and the benefit and the stress relief that you get of being able to relax and unwind, excuse me, far offsets what minor little risk you might get from drawing some smoke into your mouth and blowing it out. My grandfather smoked 5 cigars a day his entire life. And it's like George Burns. In fact, most of the really old men that I know, I'm the 90, 95, 97-year-old guys are cigar smokers. I know them because I met them at the cigar shop. I mean, the real old guys, the World War II guys. My grandfather was like that, and my grandfather, his name was Harry. People would say to him, Harry, aren't you afraid that those cigars are bad for you, are going to kill you? And I heard this routine a few times, and I knew what was coming when I heard it. They would say to him, aren't you afraid? And he would say, and he was great. He played this perfectly. He said, funny you should say that. 30 years ago, my doctor told me that if I didn't quit smoking the cigars, I wouldn't live another 10 years. And he would just keep a straight face, but it was true. This was true. This is not a joke, but this was true. But he played it like a joke. And invariably, the person would say, really, what does he say now? And my grandfather would look at me and say, I don't know. He died 25 years ago. I hit the floor every time I heard this, and that's a true story. The guy who told my grandfather, it's like the vegan friends I had who told me I was going to be dead. They're all dead now. I'm going strong. So sometimes, as much as we might think we know it all, and that includes me, maybe we don't know it all. We're just beginning to learn. The stuff we're learning about cholesterol now, and I don't want to get into that. That's another story for a whole nother live stream, is fabulous. And the stuff that we're learning about from Nick Norwitz and Dave Feldman, the stuff that we're learning about the lipid energy model and the reason why some of our cholesterols go sky high and how it makes so much sense is the first stuff I've ever heard that fits in the common sense big picture of why stuff works the way it does. It just gels and brings together everything I've learned over years of studying the biochemistry and of lipid metabolism. It just makes so much sense, and it's just now coming together in my head. And I hope that more and more evidence, even though it's going to be wildly suppressed by everybody that makes so much money on the cholesterol is bad, thing. I can see, I love South Park. I can see Mr. Mackey going, cholesterol is bad. Okay. Yeah. I think that they're going to blow that all to hell, but nobody will ever hear of it outside of our community because they can't afford it. They've got too much. The whole modern medical way of doing business will collapse if somebody finally comes, hey, all that worrying about cholesterol. Basically, it all boils down to when you're a thin, healthy person and not loaded with sugar and a fat burner and living the way our human machine is supposed to live, the cholesterol does whatever it needs to do to keep you healthy. And even if that means it goes up, your LDL goes up to 400, it does so for a reason. And that reason isn't to clog your arteries and kill you. Now, it doesn't mean if you're a 300-pound diabetic that cholesterol can't play a part in maybe not being so healthy for you. But if you're a healthy animal, which is something I've always thought, then stay out of your trying to micromanage your own biochemistry. It's doing what it knows how to do. Leave it do it. Cavemen were healthier than we are. They didn't get blood tests and agonize over their LDL. So we're learning more and more and more about this. Everybody's basically hedging. They're telling you don't get carried away with it and all, but I understand what's going on, and it's exciting, and it makes me worry so much less about being, going against, being a David against Goliath here with the cholesterol is bad nonsense. What else we got here down at the bottom of the chat? Just got here. Yeah, B-Matt, how you doing, my friend? You got here just in time for me to shut it down. I've been going on at this for 2 hours, and we've been going tonight, haven't we? I had a good time. Good time. I even froze up for a minute or two. Anyway, I wasn't being hacked. Nobody hacked me. That was something in my computer just held for a few, it was, whatever process was running that broadcasting software just froze up, and all I had to do was restart something and away we went again. So, Richard says, thanks for what you're doing. It's my pleasure. I answer these comments. I get, and I sit on my cell phone all day long and type on that tiny little keyboard. And every time you guys leave a comment, my phone, I don't have it go ding, but a little thing pops up, says you got a notification. Sometimes I'll just go ahead and answer it a minute after you write it. So if you see me answer it right away, you'll know that I'm just, got too much time on my hands and just jump on those things. So I like to at least read them all and acknowledge with a heart but coming up with different ways to say thank you sometimes. It's hard to be original. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I've only got so many of those, but I try to at least say something to everybody. I do appreciate the comments. Most of them, 99+% of them are great. So much flattery, and that does make it worthwhile. That makes it worthwhile. And then, of course, the people who tell me how great they're doing and thank me for that. That's a good feeling. Okay. I mean, I'm not a believer in, not a strong believer in giving and giving and giving. There's got to be something in it for people, and feeling good, and it's a sense of pride. That's what does it for me. It does it for me. If I wasn't seeing any results, or I thought I was wasting my time, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But it makes me very happy to know that I'm doing something right. So I tell you what, guys, I think that it's time. I'm getting worn out. I've been up since like 4:30 this morning, and it's now 5 minutes to 10 here. The stream says I've been live for 2 hours and 11 minutes, and that includes my 5-minute warm-up. And I do that. There's a reason why I do that. I think I've talked about that before, but gives a chance for people to come in, settle down before I actually go live and wonder if anybody's watching. So, with that, I'm going to fire up some exit music. There we go. Take another swig. Oh, Julia's here. I didn't even see. I'm sorry. Oh, you've been painting. Anyway, I will see some of you on Thursday night. I'll see you in the videos, and I will see most of you, I hope, next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Be safe. Eat meat. Any more housekeeping to do here? Everybody's saying good night. Good night, all. Thanks for coming. I really enjoyed it. Look forward to next Tuesday. So, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.